Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Happy Friday. Another episode of Why Are We Bullish? Killer panel today. Surprise fill-in guests at the beginning of the show and possibly a little tag out and swap partway into the show. You'll see what's up in a second. I hope you guys are having a good week. Excited for Miami coming up, and we might chat about that in a little bit, but that's just around the corner. I'm getting hyped for that. Lots going on, and a solid panel today, guys. So if you haven't already, of course, I gotta let you know that this is live. Anything can happen, so I defer to my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
If you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, all those good things really do help. And without further ado, I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we bring in our guests, of course, let's take a look at where we are in the market right now. Bitbo.io dashboard, $44,402 per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 2,252 sats. 90.45% of all Bitcoin have been mined. In terms of fees, 10 sats per byte next block, and anything beyond that, 1 sat per byte will do you. So not too bad. They were a little high yesterday, but those 1 sat per byte transactions still kicking through. Bitcoin being efficient as hell. Shout out to sponsors of the show, Shakepay.com. If you're in Canada, easy way to stack sats, e-transfers, no deposit fees, no withdrawal fees, thin spreads, super easy to use. Link down below. If you click that one and you use it to sign up and buy your first $100 worth of Bitcoin, they'll give you $30 for free. Also, that contest that I'm having, if you're a Shakepay user, 2 flights, 2 hotel rooms for the both of you, and 2 tickets to Bitcoin 2022, sponsored by Shakepay. This is the last day to enter, my friends. There is a blog post that I put up. You can find it on my Twitter feed, and just look for the hashtag ShakePaidMiami, and you'll find it. But you could enter to win. I will be picking a winner today, and it will be announced in the coming days here. But if you want to come to Miami last minute, you get your chance. All right, moving on. LEDN.io, you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. If you're in a pinch and you need dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, taxable event, all that kind of stuff, you can deposit here. Get dollars to your bank account within 24 hours. When you pay back those dollars, you get back the same number of sats. They have savings accounts. They have their B2X offering, all of that good stuff. Links are down below. Bitrefill helps you live on Bitcoin if you see fit, as I do. Ton of different gift cards. You can get them all with Bitcoin, on-chain, Lightning. You earn sats back as you shop, and same goes for their referral program. You can earn some additional sats there. Keystone, one of my favorite and most used hardware wallets. 100% air gapped, all offline via QR code. You never plug it into anything internet connected. Keeps the keys to your money safe and away from internet connections. Upgrade to that Bitcoin only firmware. Works awesome with Blue Wallet, Sparrow, Spectre. Awesome in a multi-sig. That QR code scanning is super convenient. And finally, if you're backing up any important Bitcoin wallet, solid steel, my friends. BillFodl, this is how I back up my important shit. And you can grab it at privacypros.io. Peace of mind. You don't want that fire damage, water damage, all that stuff. So with that said, let's bring in our friends here. We got Tomer, we got Casey, we got Adam. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Let's do a quick round of intros. Let's go to Tomer first. Tomer, let people know who you are. What do you do?
I am a Bitcoiner, first and foremost. I'm also the editor-in-chief at Swan Bitcoin, which means that I write content and edit content and help source content over there and just be part of the team over there. And mostly I just try to express my ideas and my love for Bitcoin.
I love it, man. And you've got a book too. You got that there? Can you hold that up?
Yeah. So when I went public as a Bitcoiner, I started writing. I wanted to write short essays about Bitcoin that explained it from all these different facets, and I started it with this series called Why Bitcoin. I ended up writing 26 essays originally. They're all like 3 minutes long, except for one of them that's about 6 minutes long, and that's what kind of got the ball rolling for me. It's been a year now since I wrote those articles, and I wanted to make a coffee table book out of it so that there would be something that Bitcoiners could have that was really pretty. And so I'll fan through it. I'm not trying to sell it here right now, but like every essay in the book,
it's already sold, my friend. I'm gonna
every essay in the book is like a 2-page spread, and the gimmick is each one of them had the word "why" in Bitcoin in the title. So like number 3, the first one is why Bitcoin exists. The second one is why Bitcoin is not like anything you've ever seen before. Then why choose Bitcoin. And I'm not going to read all the titles, but the whole idea here is that this is a book that'll last forever. You can keep it in your washroom or on your coffee table. And and it's really, really suitable for new coiners and pre-coiners.
Bathroom book, you know.
It is because if you leave it there, someone's going to go in and they're going to come out and they're going to come out with the book. Because it's also really good. It's also really good for people who are experienced Bitcoiners. Because I tried to put all of the ideas. Like I've been in Bitcoin for 9 years now. I tried to put all of the ideas that I have in there, like why it, in simple language, but like why it is that it's anti-fragile. I don't have an article called "Why It's Anti-Fragile." I have an article that was originally called "Why Everything That Should Hurt Bitcoin Only Makes It Stronger." By the time I finally re-edit all of these things, so in the final cut of the book, it's actually called "Why Bitcoin is the Greatest Gladiator the World Has Ever Seen."
That's awesome. Well, dude, I'm very excited to check it out.
Yeah,
and I'll be obviously seeing you in Miami shortly. So that's awesome.
We'll get it there.
Let's do a little rotation to Adam. This is going to be your hello and probably your goodbye too.
Yeah, exactly. My hello goodbye.
You couldn't stay away.
No.
Well, obviously let people know who you are and what you do, but also if you want to sprinkle in some bullishness before you got a jet, it's your opportunity. I'm just gonna let you know that.
I got a couple minutes, right? So, my name's Adam. I work with Upstream Data. We're a oil and gas / Bitcoin company that builds portable Bitcoin mining closures as well as engines. We just recently started shipping out our home mining black box, right? So sound dampening, all weather kind of a protection for ASICs in the backyard. I think it's a lot of fun to work with the guys that are like, building out these little ASIC. Effectively they're building, server stations at their house, and to hear the kind of their creativity and expertise. And there's a lot of bullishness there. But today I think the bullishness comes down to, the global stage of energy no longer being priced in dollars, right? I think the world's finally starting, or at least right now, the world's fixating on the petrodollar, right? Just the concept of the petrodollar, why it even matters that, Russia is looking to settle their energy trade in rubles. And so what I think we're going to see is ultimately energy producers of all kinds, whether it's oil and gas, hydroelectric, whatever, nuclear. I've been talking to a lot of nuclear professionals. They're all gonna come to understand Bitcoin, the mechanics of it, because it's right up their alley, right? For lack of a better phrase, it coincides so well with what they're already doing that at some point they're fools to not get educated on this and at least be able to speak intelligently as to why they're not participating, right? If they don't have an intelligent reason as to why they're not mining Bitcoin, they don't know enough about it yet. And they're in the midst of trying to figure that out. So, all I'm seeing right now is that conversation is getting pushed forward, and how Bitcoin coincides with the cost to produce energy. We're gonna see some really fun headlines, I think, in the coming days. Seeing Exxon was really exciting.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild watching watching this kind of, we'll say, awakening happen worldwide in slow motion. Like it feels like slow motion to us, but it's actually happening quite quickly. Bitcoin is 13 years old, right? It's wild.
Yeah, I've likened it before to like, it's almost like a song where the rhythm is like 7 or 8 months long, and so none of us can catch the tune really. But like looking back, it looks like simple, perfect music, but in the moment, it's chaos, right? And so I'm definitely seeing that. I mean, what is cool though is, you know, this Empower conference that's coming up in Houston next week, which is effectively kind of like the first oil and gas Bitcoin focused conference, as far as I understand it. You know, it's kind of the first time where the pure topic is Bitcoin in the oil field, and it is going to be a massive conference with, you know, tons and tons of producers that are going to be getting educated. So we're on the cusp of some new Bitcoiners entering the space, right? Everyone comes here to get rich. Some people stay to get free, and it's just happening again.
Yellow's in the chat. Adam, do you like guns?
No. Any tool that empowers the individual, I like.
Oh, that's great. I love it, dude. I know you're short on time. Whenever you do have to bounce, all good. But we'll jump to Casey for his little intro as well, man.
Yo, what's up, everyone? My name's BtcCasey. I'm the associate editor at Bitcoin Magazine. So I do a few things there. I edit the newsletter. I host Meet the Plebs, which is a really fun podcast. So you should all check it out. And then I do all the opinion posts over there, and that gives me a wide array of ideas on Bitcoin that I get to read every day. So it's definitely a fun job. And like we've mentioned a few times, Miami's coming up, and I'm super excited for that. Being able to participate in that is really fun. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, dude, I'm glad to have you here. And everybody watching, if you're wondering who the mystery other guest is that's joining us, hopefully, I'm waiting on him, but Dread, aka on Twitter, Pole Vault Dream. So if you want to tweet at him, ask him what his ETA is. But otherwise, we will power through regardless. There's enough bullishness for all here. Yeah. So I mean, Adam, you'll probably be like, I want to stay for this topic. But you kind of hit on what I was gonna start us off with. But again, anybody watching,
sorry, man.
No worries. All good. But anybody watching that's unfamiliar, basically, this is why are we bullish? We all come with a reason why we're feeling bullish. It can be whatever you like. And we get to somebody's going to drop a reason. We're all going to riff on that reason together, and then we rotate to the next person until we all get a shot. And so, Adam, you definitely hit on exactly what I was going to chat about. So you kind of teed me up nicely, which was nice. So thank you.
Good stuff.
I appreciate that. But yeah, right. The Exxon thing, right? Basically, Exxon is taking gas to Bitcoin pilot to 4 countries. And so this is, it's not like official news. It was kind of, it seems like it got out. They say, according to people familiar with the matter, and there was no official comment.
Sources.
Yeah, from sources. But basically, all the long and the short of it, Oil Giant has an agreement with Crusoe Energy Systems to take gas from an oil well pad in the Back Shale Basin to power mobile generators used to run Bitcoin miners on site. And then they said that they're looking at expanding this pilot project to Alaska, Nigeria, Argentina, and Germany. And so clearly, like they're starting to clue into the idea that Bitcoin and energy in general are very much linked and are very in tune with each other. And I mean, I guess that comes with the fact that, you know, Bitcoin is based on proof of work. And proof of work is, you know, if you kind of zoom out and just look at the term proof of work, what can it apply to? It can apply to human time, human effort, human ingenuity. And the same can be true of energy itself. You can't get energy from nothing. You can't get Bitcoin from nothing. And Bitcoin, you're required to expend energy to create it, more or less. The nice thing about this is that you can't create it from nothing. You can only become more efficient with the energy that you use. And so you want to use the most efficient forms of energy. And so it kind of strips away the buzzwords, the illusions, and just gets down to the nitty gritty of the truth of, you know, how much energy are you producing? how much energy are you putting towards this network to help secure it? It cuts through the bullshit.
It's pure signal.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Cuts through the bullshit's a great way to say it. Like all the subsidies, all the accounting nonsense that has gone on via, regulators and everything else to dictate profitability. Bitcoin is just blows through all of that. And it's a raw, naked, open market, right? I mean, sometimes I say it on the phone when I'm talking to oil and gas producers to try to just explain how kind of basic and profound this is. I'm like, a 15-year-old kid can wake up and sell, $50 million worth of energy today, and he doesn't have to ask anyone's permission, right? He needs like an email, and maybe he doesn't even need that. He could solo mine, right, effectively. So it's truly a counterparty-free energy consumption market, autonomous, right? And that is the killer app, in my opinion, right? I think that's always been the thing that drew me back to Bitcoin and kept reinvigorating the bullish flame, right? And just kept getting me more and more compelled to build it out.
Yeah, and I feel like the last domino or the last series of dominoes that are kind of falling from getting from away from all the noise and down to the pure signal is the pricing mechanism of using an actual undilutable money to price energy in versus the fiat system, because you can still muddy the waters by pricing things in a currency that can be diluted. Your measuring stick is all over the fucking place.
Well, didn't Putin just effectively do that, right? Because he's getting hit with sanctions. So what he said was, okay, fine, if you're going to hit me with sanctions, then we're going to settle energy in rubles, right? Because, right? And so, I don't know, it's this, it's one of those, it just all seems to naturally gravitate toward Bitcoin, right? It's a common benefit to all parties involved in this nonsense. And so the game theory is going to play out.
Yeah, it'll take some time, but we see things moving, and I didn't think it would be this quick. I didn't think that we would see, hey, we're going to reprice energy, and we don't like, this quickly to see the petrodollar system start to break down is pretty profound. It's pretty wild.
It really does. It only takes one big energy producer to get sanctioned like that, though, to trigger the game theory like that. Like, as you said, yes, Adam, it feels like everything's sort of convalescing towards this moment. And that's just the incentive system that we've always talked about really playing out in front of our eyes, which is, it's incredible to watch, really.
Yeah, it's kind of daunting almost. It's a little kind of like overwhelming. But we also have to keep in mind, I mean, Russia is not foreign to Bitcoin, right? Like they're well aware of how Bitcoin operates, and they've been mining Bitcoin. I mean, what is it? The Gazprom or whatever the heck, their biggest oil and gas producer has been mining Bitcoin for like over a year and a half now or something. So I've got to jump, guys. Hopefully Dread jumps in. I got to take a phone call. So sorry. Thanks so much, man. Ben, Casey, Tomer. See you guys.
See you, man.
See you guys soon. Awesome. Well, again, I'll open it up. Tomer, I don't know if you want to comment on anything that was said so far, if you have.
Yeah, the thing that I'm kind of bullish about is very related to this. It's maybe a different facet of it. It is that proof of work and Bitcoin's energy consumption is being confronted now. So when I said I've got this article that Bitcoin is the greatest gladiator the world has ever seen, it's time to go, and fight off the enemies of energy. And it's time to go and fight the enemies of Bitcoin's energy use. And here we are in the arena now, and it's happening. And it's such a thrill to watch this gladiator take down foe after foe after foe. And it's amazing to see it when you just zoom out a little bit. And I think I saw just before we came on here, Janet Yellen was being interviewed on CNBC, and like she's not a very aware person. I think that's what they look for, people who run the Federal Reserve and who are Treasury Secretary, to kind of have blinders on. But it's hard to have the blinders on, and the default blinders, which were, oh, Bitcoin bad, right? And the famous guy behind her with the Bitcoin sign. It's like, well, she doesn't know what's going on, but she knows it's not all bad anymore, and that this has something to do with innovation, or that she's got to pay it some lip service. And meanwhile, across the pond, we've got the Russian chair of the energy committee saying, if they want to pay in Bitcoin, we'll take Bitcoin. And we've got lots of stuff. And we've got the Exxon news from the perspective of here they're looking at it, right? They're not saying, oh, we agree it's bad. We think what we do is bad. Like the oil companies have been made to be self-hating by the ESG movement, and they're probably kind of ready to shake that off, especially given how vindicated they are by what's happened now to Germany, right? Where suddenly Germany has no ability to heat their homes and everything because they shut down their nuclear plants and they became dependent on Russia for fossil fuels. And it's happening all over the world, right? And this is the way that this gladiator fights their battles. It's like Bitcoin isn't in one place, it's everywhere in the world simultaneously. And these global issues are happening all over the world simultaneously. And we've seen Bitcoin take on like 5 or 6 opponents at a time. You know, when I reflect back to the fork wars, Bitcoin wasn't just being attacked on one front. It was first of all being attacked by Bitmain, who had the secret ASIC boost. People don't need to know the history about that, but they didn't want to activate SegWit, and so the Bitcoiners got together to fight for SegWit by activating a user-activated soft fork and threatening, and then Bitcoin got attacked on the other side by the SegWit 2x group that said, no, we'll activate SegWit, but we need a hard fork to bigger blocks. So we're telling Bitmain to go fuck themselves, and we're telling the biggest companies in Bitcoin to go fuck themselves. And then that was enough. Then Roger Ver did fork Bitcoin and created Bitcoin Cash, so we had to tell him to go fuck himself. And it wasn't like every single altcoin didn't see that and piled in, right? So 3,000 altcoins at the same time came in and attacked Bitcoin and said, this one's no good, we're better, we're blockchain 2.0. It fought off every single one of them all at once. And it was left standing with all these bloody ICOs left, right, and center. The SegWit 2x never even activated. Bcash is down 99%. And Bitmain, Jihan Wu, who said, fuck your mother if you want fuck, he got fucked, right? So like this is the beauty of Bitcoin. And now it's up against the next set of rivals, which when you think about it, they're so like they're the anti-energy people, right? They're the people who haven't even thought through, like they use energy to speak against energy from the comfort of their climate controlled home, which is climate controlled because it uses energy. And two things happen. Some of them, they gradually wake up and they say, like, this is not a fight that makes sense to fight anymore, which is what happened in the past with Bitcoin. Like it beats some sense into people. And then other people, they suffer Bitcoin derangement syndrome and they fall off the edge like Roger Ver did. And, you know, they don't, well, maybe someday he'll come to his senses and come back. But for the time being, he's still derangedly thinking that he's going to make Bitcoin Cash something. I don't even know what he thinks. But this is what ends up happening. And it's because of the purity of the truth in Bitcoin. It just is a truth verification machine, and it's a truth generating machine, and it doesn't listen to lies, right? Like you can't plead with Bitcoin and say, please. I mean, and Craig Wright is the perfect example. You can't say, I swear, I insist, damn it, I'm going to scream and shout and say that I'm really Satoshi and that I really own all these million coins and that you got to do this and I'm going to sue the developers. Like Bitcoin doesn't listen to any of that. Do you have the truth? Can you prove that you have the digital signature for the private key for these coins? Can you prove you did the work, the proof of work? Can you prove you did good, honest work? If you didn't do good, honest work, I'm not listening. To stop wasting your breath shouting at Bitcoin. And so like, I'm really bullish on all of Bitcoin's enemies because they demonstrate to everybody in the world what Bitcoin really is, which is it's invincible and it's invulnerable, but it's on the side of good. It's on the side of truth. It's on the side of reality. And how could you not be bullish about that?
Bitcoin's so good at telling people to go fuck themselves is what I've just learned.
You know, I think the Bitcoiners use that language. Bitcoin, what does Bitcoin say?
Yeah, it just exists. It just is.
Right? It deals with all of these things perfectly silently. And it doesn't attack back, right? It just absorbs blow after blow after blow. And when you get tired of beating on Bitcoin, it doesn't say, oh, well, you tried to hurt me. You can't use me now. It just like, go ahead. I'm here for everybody to use no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's very forgiving as well.
Anybody watching that is unfamiliar with block size war. This book is excellent when it comes to detailing what happened back leading up to late 2017. Talks all about all of the schisms that developed and all of the sneaky shady shit that happened with Bitmain and all the worry around all these forks and everything. But the long and the short of it is individual people got freaked out, but Bitcoin just continued
Kept
to
going.
exist, and it was like water, just
Right.
went around the obstacles.
I was around for that, and I've written an article that partly covers that. So if people want my take on it, it's just much shorter than a book. I have an article on Medium called "Don't Tell Me There Are No Heroes in Bitcoin." So if you Google that, and it's not only about the fork wars, it's about, it was a response to people saying don't have heroes, kill your heroes, and I just wanted to contrast and say, you know what, there's actually been a long line of heroes in Bitcoin, and one part of that article is about those who participated in block size wars.
I mean, you mentioned the Bitcoin being in the gladiator ring and proof of work. I feel like, philosophically, Bitcoin is the best representation of proof of work in terms of all the attacks it's endured, right? So we see all these different attack vectors, like you said, the fork wars, which is sort of like an inside attack vector, and then you've got all the FUD from the outside, etc. But the proof of work is that, like we said, it still exists, it still functions, it even exists for people who don't like it. And so I think it's like you said, it's an unarguable source of truth when it just continues to work and be the dominant blockchain, etc.
I wanted to comment on some earlier stuff that you're talking about in regards to what's going on in Germany and their dependence on foreign oil, Russian oil, and them, basically, and we see this everywhere, is that there's a lot of kind of virtue signaling going on where individual nations will try to look good on the ESG front and say, hey, we're not, our emissions are down and we're doing all this stuff. But in reality, they're just having other nations create that energy for them and then importing it. And so that ends up, again, in that proof of work kind of mindset, it cuts through that bullshit as well, because all of a sudden you see, oh, you it's not that you weren't consuming that energy, it's that you were consuming energy that somebody else was basically selling to you.
Yeah. I was going to say, Germany was more energy independent, and out of ESG pressure, they shut down their nuclear reactors, which is the cleanest form of energy you can have. And nobody dies mining. Like, lots of people die mining coal, right? It's dangerous to do other stuff, but like this much uranium. And so, but they shut stuff down. They didn't end up not using energy, right? They didn't reduce the amount of energy used. They ended up relying on what the ESG people said was dirtier energy. They ended up bringing in natural gas to burn, to create electricity and to create heating, instead of clean nuclear. And they shut down all these other things. So they didn't shut down their demand. They just locally shut down their sovereignty, it turns out, right? And because now they created they were still dependent upon energy. You cannot make, I think the fallacy is we can live without energy. It's like, no, we can't live without energy. We couldn't live without fire in quantities of 1 million people on the earth, and we got 7 billion of us now. So we need souped up fire, which is fossil fuels and nuclear and hydro and all that, everything that we can still come up with to survive. And if you shut down these sources of survival, then you either die or you bring in the sources of survival from someplace else. And that's the lesson. And it's a really, really important lesson. I think no matter how stupid politicians are, this is one of those ones that you can't be too stupid about for too long. right? And it was such a powerful lesson that we're learning from Germany, that if you shut off the power and are still dependent on it, you become dependent on whoever is not shutting off the power. So there's the turnabout. And of course, this was the logic for the last 70 years, right? Find the sources of gas and control them. Find the sources of petroleum and control them. I mean, that's what the world order has been until 5 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, again, in the end, it just becomes, it will whittle down so that you see the true signal. I'm agnostic as to what is used for energy, but it should just be the most efficient form of energy that we can get our hands on. Efficiency is key. And if you rely on things that haven't been properly fleshed out or intermittent, and you're entirely reliant on that thing, and you've got entire populations relying on it, and it's not up to snuff, and it can't actually support those populations, you're going to have issues. And so we get to watch this play out in real time as some places are placing bets on what they believe is best sources of energy, without it perhaps having been fully fleshed out and able to support the demand when they've already started to curtail and self-impose these limitations on energy, right?
Yeah. There's kind of two other points I would make, and I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, but one is something that Adam was saying about how anybody can enter the energy market if they mine, and this is really powerful too, because when you were forced to sell your energy through government regulations in a regulated way, what could you do if, like, let's say I knew the secret of nuclear fusion and I wanted to create nuclear fusion? I'd probably have to jump through so many hoops and bribe so many politicians and get so much permission that I wouldn't ever be able to profit from it. But if I did know the secret to nuclear fusion, I would just be able to hook up Bitcoin miners to it and generate all this Bitcoin. And then people would see, oh, you actually have, and I can see the proof of work. I can see the proof that you actually have the solution to generating nuclear fusion. So I want to buy your electricity, and it creates this free market of come and go, right? Bitcoin, everyone can come, everyone can go whenever they please, however they please. And that, I think, creates, it's another vector of pushing freedom that we don't really talk that much about. We talk about, okay, well, once you've got it, the government can't block you. But the freedom to enter and exit is also in the energy, which I think was the subtle point that Adam was making, is incredible, because I think we are going to start to see all sorts of not just government sanctioned, but government ignorant sources of energy being deployed and created.
Yeah. Should be interesting to see how things move forward. But we've definitely, just this past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of some big moves again. That the what's that quote? There's decades where nothing happens, and then days where decades happen, or whatever it is.
Weeks, but
weeks, but more or less.
It was like a day, like yesterday was
basically
a few decades happened.
But yeah, awesome. Okay, well, let's wrap that topic and we'll move on. I think what I'll do here is maybe I'll go to Casey if you want to take your topic first. This is your chance to rant, my friend. Let me know what you're feeling bullish about. Take it away, man.
There are so many things to be bullish about in the Bitcoin industry, Bitcoin space today. The thing I'm really fully bullish about is Bitcoin 2022 happening in Miami. There's a lot of reasons why I'm super bullish on this. I'll touch on some of the things that people can expect to experience there. But before that, I do have personal reasons why I'm super excited to meet people there. We've had some fantastic contributions at Bitcoin Magazine this year, so I'm super excited to meet many of the contributors that we've had. And I really think to use a weird analogy, right? If you've ever been to like church camp and your youth pastor tells you you've got to go to church, you know, you can have your independent relationship with Bitcoin or whatever, but you got to go to this place where you experience this relationship between people and this connection where you're all thinking about the same thing, working towards the same goal, and you really share this ideological presence, I think, that takes place in conversations that you can't recreate online. And so, I mean, this goes really for any meetup, not even just Bitcoin 2022. So if you can't make it to Miami, I encourage you to go to any Bitcoin meetup that you can possibly go to in your area, or start your own if you don't have one to go to, because it's really a great experience to share all these ideas and really full of philosophical goals that Bitcoiners hold in common. And so, I mean, Bitcoin 2022 is just like the most ultimate representation of that. We're going to have more than double what we had last year in terms of people attending. Wow. We're going to have a fantastic lineup of speakers, Mr. BTC Sessions himself included. I mean, great people to see: Matt Odell, Aaron Van Wertum, Michael Saylor, Preston Pish, Pierre Richard. So you've got this whole spectrum of people to listen to. We're going to have various aspects that are super exciting, right? We've got open source stage for people who are super interested in the technical side. We're going to have a mining stage dedicated to miners and a lounge where you can talk to people who are also interested in mining. We're going to have an art gallery that's going to be featuring some of the most dope artwork you've ever seen in the Bitcoin space. Really cool stuff. We've got a Bitcoin bazaar. This is going to be cool. It's like a themed merchant sort of place where you can go talk to other Bitcoiners who've got their projects there on sale. It's going to be really cool. And of course,
you can find me signing my book there.
Yeah,
at the bazaar.
No, we're gonna have the book signing booth, which, as Tomer said, he'll be there. We're gonna have amazing writers there with their books. You know, you can shake their hands, meet them, talk to them about their book. So it's really like an interactive experience. That's really what we're trying to build here. And of course, I can't forget to mention the Sound Money Fest, which is this amazing little music festival that we're throwing for all the guests who buy GA passes. And we also have a separate SMF pass if you'd just like to go to that. But we're going to have some amazing names there, like Logic, Deadmau5, to name a couple. But yeah, I mean, just to speak to like how fun it is at meetups and events like this, you really can't beat the connection there. Many businesses, I think Swan, Tomer, was formed at Bitcoin 2019 or Bitcoin 2020.
So the legend goes.
Yeah. So the legend goes. And many other, you know, legendary connections have been made at these Bitcoin events. So, I mean, I'm super bullish for all of that stuff. And I really think that everyone who goes is going to have a great time. So, yeah, Greg will be signing real potatoes and giving them away.
Wow.
Greg,
trade.
That's why I'm going, actually, as I want a Greg signed potato. When I get there, it's really the only reason. I think I'll just jump in and grab a potato, be on my way. But yeah,
100%. Greg was at Bitcoin 2021, so it's not hard to miss him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's so many great things to look forward to, and I'd love to shake both your hands there as well. I've met you in person once, BTC Sessions, but man, it's just going to be so great to meet all the people I haven't gotten the chance to yet.
Yeah. It's, man, like I did 2019 and of course last year, and God, such good experiences, just because you obviously, if you plan it out right, you gravitate towards where you see the most value and the most signal. And there's so much shit going on, and not to mention like the satellite events that are happening around town too. There's so much going on, and I think Tom, you were talking about Swan being formed at Bitcoin 2019. I remember Corey coming up to me asking questions like, well, what do you think of this idea and this idea? And it was the early stages of figuring out what Swan was, before it was called Swan, was going to be. And of course, like that one had Edward Snowden doing his live stream. You know, he dropped the bomb that when he was paying for what was it, paying for his server or something like that initially, when he was when he was on the run. He used Bitcoin because he had no other option. There was some wild people that I got to meet down there, and everybody's very accessible. Like you just like bump into people that you're like, oh my god, I've been watching or listening to or reading your content forever. There's just so many. And I think one of the things last year, obviously everybody was kind of impacted by this, but being there during Jack Maller's announcement was something else. It was like sitting there, and it was odd because like the world didn't understand the implications of what was said there, but the people, like it was wild being around so many people that understood the gravity of what was said, because you can watch the video and be like, wow, that's awesome, but when you're around thousands of people that all get it, that all are watching this going, oh my god, this is a moment that will be looked at in the history books for decades to come, and most of the world has no idea why it matters yet. That was pretty impactful. That was one of those moments in having been in Bitcoin since 2014 where I will never forget that feeling of just being present during that. So it was pretty wild. There's tons that I'm excited for. I got to give a shout out to something, a satellite thing that I'm going to, by the way, the Great Reset and the Rise of Bitcoin. Pierre Corbin is putting on a screening of this at a multiplex there. I'm going to be there for it, and we're going to do a little sit down and chat along with Knut.
When is that happening?
That's happening on the evening of the 6th. On the evening of the 6th. So yeah, so I'm excited for this. It's a solid film that he made, and yeah, recommend if you can make it down. Awesome. But yeah, just follow.
And is this film already available, or is it being previewed there? Or?
Oh yeah, no. It's already, you can watch it on YouTube.
I haven't seen it yet.
But he's doing a screening of it down there. Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, you can follow him at, instead of Pierre Corbin, it's Cierre, like CIERRE PORBIN. But anyways, worth checking out, and you can find it on YouTube. The Great Reset and the Rise of Bitcoin. But there's going to be a screening of it down there. I'm stoked for it, and it's one of the satellite events that I'm looking forward to getting out to. But I don't know, Tomer, what have you got on the docket? Obviously, you're signing books. What are your plans down there?
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of events with the Swan team that I'm attending. I'm looking to do a lot of hanging out. I'm actually hanging out. We got an Airbnb, 4 of us, myself, Fractal and Crypt, Knut Van Holm, who you just mentioned, and Brecky von Bitcoin. And I don't know what,
quite the party going on there.
Well, that's what kind of, like, I'm thinking everybody's got all these dinner plans, right? But maybe after dinner, we can have a bunch of people hang out and go to the wee hours in our place. So we'll see how that goes. I've been asked to speak briefly or be one of the panelists at the Thank God for Bitcoin conference, which is a side event. So I've got some interesting remarks to talk about Bitcoin and truth over there. And really, aside from that, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm hanging out at a number of different Swan events with fellow Swans. I want to see, there's so many Bitcoiners who I want to meet. Like for me, I watched last year's event from where I'm standing right now, in my home, and I was so moved by it. I ended up writing one article called "Rich or Poor Bitcoiners Have What Money Can't Buy," and it ended up being really, really popular. And I again encourage you. That one's a very short read. That one's only like 4 minutes, but it kind of explains why it is that the process of becoming a Bitcoiner changes you. Because of what you're required to learn and what you're required to know, and then how you end up feeling towards other Bitcoiners because they've been through the same thing. the pursuit of truth, the learning about multiple disciplines and learning the truth about them rather than just parroting what is said in the mainstream media. It's much more poetic than the way I'm describing it, that article. And so you end up having self-confidence, you end up having self-esteem, you end up having access to truth, you end up knowing other people who have those things. So you end up with friends, and you end up with integrity. And those are things that money can't buy. So whether you've got a lot of Bitcoin or not a lot of Bitcoin, you end up with these, and these are not just, they're not just things that money can't buy. They're very, very, very valuable things that money cannot buy. And this ongoing process of being a Bitcoiner and having the fire inside of you lit, so that you're pursuing freedom on behalf of yourself and your heirs and the people you care about and the principles that you care about is much more exciting to me than the price of Bitcoin. It's watching the value of civilization go up, and not in market cap, in human value. In like, not everything is measured in dollars, and most of what Bitcoin's value is never going to be able to be measured in dollars. It's like, why are people listening here? They're not expecting the price to go up because they listen. They're here to learn. They're here to associate, to experience friendship, intelligent new ideas. So some are here to troll shit coins.
Yeah, Bitcoin is time preference go down technology.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
No, it is. And like, I think, experiencing moments like Jack Mahler's announcement, like you said, BTC sessions, with people who understand the ideological implications and who have gone through that Bitcoiner journey, like you said, Tomer, it is incredible. And, I invite everyone who cannot make it to watch the live stream, because it is a great time to watch the live stream and hang out in the chat with everyone. But I mean, there's something about, these events that just, it's a accumulation of like, almost my calendar goes around it now. Like back when I was in school, my calendar went around the school calendar more than it did the actual, fundamental calendar. And now it's like every year it comes back to this Bitcoin conference. So it really is a great gathering of everyone. And it's great to catch up on all the different projects that are going on in the space, because it often seems like it's difficult to keep up with all the news and all the new releases, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so hard to take it all in when I'm there. I feel like I'm trying to ping pong to everything, but it's so difficult. I ended up going back and watching a ton of the talks that were happening while I was there, because I was so caught up in interactions with people and everything. And it's, but I would say, and I think what I learned last year was take a look at the schedule, see what's going on, and make notes for yourself. Like, what would you be really upset if you missed? And then try to at least make it to those things, and then leave yourself space to kind of ping pong. And because you're gonna encounter people where you just want to hang out and you just want to like chat with them and soak up those moments. But it's easy to kind of get lost in what's going on and not take in everything. And you no matter what, you're going to feel like you can't possibly absorb it all, because you can't. And you're going to have to go back and be like, okay, what talks did I not see that I really want to see? But the experience of being there. And actually, while we're on the topic of the conference, everybody that's watching right now, if you're down there, I'm going to do an episode of Why Are We Bullish? But I'm going to do Why Are You Bullish? And I'll just tweet out a location. Come find me, and you'll get a few minutes to rant about why you're bullish. I'll get you on film and I'll splice it together, and that's going to be the episode that week. So so keep an eye out if you're going to be in Miami, because I want to get every possible person to tell me why they are bullish. I think that'd be pretty awesome. So anything else that you guys want to if I can give one other shout out to a Miami Beach pleb that is down in Miami, I would like to do, if possible, maybe prior to everything getting crazy, a taco club night. because this dude is a Bitcoiner that owns this restaurant, Tequila. And when I was there last in October for the Oslo Freedom Forum with Alex Gladstein, he had a bunch of Bitcoiners down to his restaurant for tacos. And it was a taco pleb feast. It was delicious. And I plan on going back there maybe early, like before the conference, maybe like the 5th or something. So if anybody's around and wants some tacos with me, then let me know.
Those tacos look great. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so good.
If I can give a couple quick shout outs to what's going on. One, we are launching Captain Sid Bitcoin 2022, and I believe Swan is involved. He is doing a cross country tour on a motorcycle.
On a Harley.
Oh,
yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I actually did a Meet the Plebs podcast with him on this, and so the intent is to take his bagger Harley all the way from Florida, across various meetups, interviewing people, talking about why they're interested in Bitcoin, etc. And I think it's going to be awesome. That's going to be launching there. And also, I can give a hint. I hear there's going to be a mechanical bull present at Bitcoin 2022. My guess is that Jimmy Song will dominate this since he always wears that hat. So, but yeah, those are the two little hints I wanted to give.
Jimmy's on the panel that I'm moderating. I'm actually, because we were talking about it earlier, about forks and soft forks and the block size wars. The panel I'm moderating on the open source stage is talking about soft forks, and so it's going to be Jimmy Song, Jeremy Rubin, and Paul. I always screw up his last name. Stork.
Yeah.
Stork. Is that how am I saying it right? But yeah, so we're doing a panel on soft forks, and we're just going to chat about. I imagine some of the people that go and check out that talk will be a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, but we'll try and keep it accessible for everybody. And we'll kind of dive into the idea of hard forks versus soft forks, and what some recent soft forks have enabled, what could be in the roadmap down the in the future, and perhaps will there ever be a time where it's soft forks are off the table, and as well as
fully ossified.
Yeah. When do we hit that ossification? We'll see.
It's already hard. It's already hard to soft fork, but the culture may change. We may end up, because of version bits, being able to say, there's more soft forks, and you pays your money, you take your chances if you're trying to use that particular code. Obviously, the culture right now is absolutely everything is so bulletproof that goes into Bitcoin.
Yeah,
we're not prepared to risk anything, but I think that ethos is likely to stay for at least as long as I'm alive.
Yeah. It'll last for a while, I'm sure. Awesome. Well, let's wrap that up. Again, I'm gonna chat a little bit at the end of the show about some Miami giveaway stuff that I'm doing, but let's do a little rotation again. Everybody watching, of course, keep the chat message. I see you guys all chatting and everything. David is here. If you guys aren't familiar, David is my #1 fan. He is here every Friday for Why Are We Bullish? He hates Bitcoin, but he always comes to tell us all how wrong we are. And I really appreciate all of his input. He's been dropping some fire commentary here.
Poor guy.
Just letting us know.
What's the deal with you, David? Do you need some love?
Yeah.
Or are you filled with hate? Because Bitcoin is all about love, and someday you'll see it, I hope.
Yeah, I think so. I think through osmosis, he'll get it. He would like us to know that Bitcoin doesn't have real intrinsic value. There's nothing to back it up. If we have a global blackout, Bitcoin can disappear. So he wants everybody to know that. And David, I appreciate.
Can you just show that comment again? Because I'm not going to get in a fight with him, because I'm just telling him I can see how badly he needs love.
Yes,
because none of that's really true.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's just, please pay me some attention. I need attention. And like you can have this negative attention, David, or you can have our love, right?
Yeah. This is why he comes up. He does get attention here, and I do give him love every week. Yeah. I encourage him to continue down the rabbit hole, but but he is my fun mascot on the show. I appreciate him, and I thank him for continuing to come and view the show. So, David, love you. Also, Greg is now in the chat. He heard Yellow was talking shit. Greg, I hear you're signing potatoes at the conference. I will be first in line for that booth. I want one autographed. Can you make it out to me, please? My wife might want one as well, but very much looking forward to that as well. With that, let's give it a rotate. We've got one more bullish reason coming up. Tomer, I'm going to tee it up for you. If you want to go on a little rant.
I got another one more thing to be bullish about Bitcoin. Well, I tried to put it all together into this great warrior gladiator model of everything that's really happening. And I guess if there's one more thing that I'm really bullish about, it's changing the world right now. And we were talking earlier about that moment last year when you felt how serious it was when the announcement of Bukele saying a country is making it. I just keep having these moments from time to time. They happen like 4 or 5 times a year now. Maybe they're going to happen more or less frequently, but you realize just how serious this whole thing is, because the whole of humanity, the whole of civilization has been on this crash course since the fiat system replaced the gold standard over like a 40-year period through chipping and cracking. And then it's just been in this free fall, which everyone who's seen the charts on what WTF happened in 1971 can see. And so, like, this isn't a joke. We have a lot of fun, and we kind of joked, oh, we're going to meme this idea into all the money in the world, but it's actually really serious, right? It is like all of human civilization. It's about peace, because the instrument for war is financing it through stolen money, printed money, and it's about people getting to keep what they've earned, people who work their whole lives, being able to live their lives, being able to do what they want with their money that they worked for, right? The proof of work, of the good, honest work that they did, doesn't get to be stolen by some jackass, idiot politician, bureaucrat who has no respect and has never done any work in their life. So it's like very, very, very serious at the same time as we're having a lot of fun. And life should be both serious and lots of fun. And so I'm so bullish for the whole of the existence, the fact that Bitcoin exists, and that it gives us this opportunity to live the thrill of our life. We get to be in this period in history where it is coming to pass, where there's still Bitcoin being issued. Like, for Bitcoin will probably survive for thousands, if not millions of years. And people will say, can you imagine being live at a time where like 6.25 Bitcoin were coming into existence every 10 minutes? Like 6.25 Bitcoin will buy you a whole city nowadays, and it'll buy you a planet. Like, whatever, who knows how valuable Bitcoin will become? But we're living through that. It's so exciting. We've got the greatest gladiator in the world with all these superpowers on our side, and justice is coming, and property rights are coming, and freedom is coming. So it's just an incredible time.
It is kind of like a great equalizer, because right now in our with the status quo is that wealth and that effectively wealth, the fruits of your labor, can be siphoned away from you. And like, if we were to remove the concept of money and just think of it more in terms of human time, it wasn't a great movie, but the concept is interesting, that it was literally a movie called Time, starring Justin Timberlake.
I think it was I know which movie you're talking about. I don't think it was called maybe it was called In Time or On Time or something.
Oh yeah, it's something
where they have on their arm how many seconds they have left to live. But you can buy more seconds,
and that was their currency. And basically, like, you would die when the clock ran out. So people were just exchanging goods and services for time. And they'd be like, oh my God, it's, time, my time is not worth as much, and so on and so forth. But they were literally calculating how much of their time certain things and certain items were worth. And I mean, imagine, and part of the premise of that movie was that
Sorry, I'm reading the comments. It's
Yeah.
called guitar, Greg.
but you know, the premise was that their time was effectively, it could be inflated away, like the
The
value
evil
of-
bad guy boss had unlimited time because he could
Yeah,
print, he could print the
exactly.
money, right? He could print the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and so imagine that concept if rather than money, it was literally your human time. And while your life wouldn't necessarily be shortened, it does consume forward facing, especially when we're dealing in a world of debt. You are effectively giving away your future time. You're whittling that away when you have to live on debt because of the debasement of currency. You can't make ends meet. Your wage isn't keeping pace with the cost of things because wealth is being siphoned away via inflation. And the concept applies there because that's all money is. It's a measuring stick for the value of human time and effort, more or less. And I love the idea of the juxtaposition, or I guess the side by side comparison of money and human time, because to me that's more or less what it represents and how much you value your time and what you do with it, the efficiency of what you do with it, and how many other people value that. Yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to go down that rabbit hole or touch on that.
Well, I mean, to touch a little bit on both what both of you said, it reminds me of a podcast I did with Seed Signer actually this week, and of course we are excited to talk about his project and all the technical aspects, etc. But really, what I found compelling about the podcast that I did with him was how he touched on basically the humanitarian aspect of this project, right? And this is another article we did previously by someone else. Bitcoin should be a universal human right, access to a free open monetary network that can't be debased, like the Time movie where the guy has unlimited time. Seeing it represented like that, I think puts into perspective basically the human rights issue at hand, right? And so what Seed Signer was talking about was we as Bitcoiners, as Bitcoin builders in the Bitcoin community, we have to build access to this system for everyone as much as possible, because it really is the most important world-changing thing, as you said, Tomer, because it enables people to take back the ability to transform their work into a long-term success, right? Otherwise, everything they do in their lives is immediately drained, and it's really the most important thing in the world right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wrote an article last month for the private side of Swan, but we usually end up publishing them publicly a couple months later. And it was money is a human right. That was the title of the article, and I analyzed the history of rights and money. I said you actually have you need to have the right to spend, the right to save, the right to transact, the right to earn. And we saw that right violated, like in Canada, and we're seeing it violated at a national level, where if someone takes away your right to earn because you're not allowed to work because you haven't gotten the vaccine or some other constraint, they're basically preventing you from living, right? It's like someone taking away your right to breathe. And if they take away your right to spend, it's the same thing. It's like taking away your right to exhale. And so it's really important, money, right? And it's really important that what you're breathing in and out is clean air, not dirty fiat, right? Which is not real. It's not real money. It's money that people are playing games with and doctoring and tainting and stealing the oxygen out of it. I mean, Michael Saylor uses the analogy of sucking the oxygen out of a room, or sucking the energy out of a room, and how you would die. And that's I think a very accurate analogy for what happens with fiat money every time the government pumps up the supply and destroys what you're earning in the moment and what you've saved in the past.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that would probably open people's eyes to this would be if your bank account balance was calculated as the percentage of global value that you hold.
Yeah.
Right.
And it went down 40% in 1 year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
that. Then suddenly you'd say, what's going on here?
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, if right now you see dollars, and then you get a nice little check from the government one time or a couple of times, and you feel like you've got, oh well, I got more money. The dollars went up. But if you saw, hey, this is, money is just a representation of all of the goods and services available in an economy, and if you see that your percentage of that shrinks, there's only so much stuff. And if your percentage of that is shrinking, even though you're still working, you maybe have some savings, but what those savings represent is less. Then I think people start to realize, and it's kind of hard to get away from now, because you go to the grocery store, and it's in your face. It's right in your face. You go to the gas pump, it's right in your face. You try to buy a home, or maybe you were going to buy a home, and now all of a sudden, because since, what is it, 2015.
But it's okay. The bank will lend you an extra $500,000 that you can owe them for another 30 years to now buy that same home that didn't require an additional $500,000 of borrowing before.
Yeah,
But
and now
that's the whole game.
you got to pay for the insurance on top of that, because you can no longer afford the 20% required down payment, which who can nowadays, when the average price of a home in Canada is north of 800,000 Canadian dollars, up from 430 in 2015.
Good investment.
Yeah.
Too bad if you're young and you weren't around to invest.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I think I am a pretty young person, I think, relative to you guys, and I've witnessed how
a nice way to call somebody old.
It's more of a comment on myself, right? So that's how I try to frame it. But no, I mean, like, I used to hear from many people, like, oh, you can save up for this, you can do this to get your down payment, you can do this, and I've legitimately started hearing from adults around me. They're like, I don't know how you're going to get a house. They don't know that it's entirely out of the question as far as younger people are concerned right now, to save up 20%, even 5% is like what, 50,000 on some of these houses. And that's just, it's impossible. So I even tell people, I'm like, yeah, Bitcoin is the only thing I'm caring about as far as like property. I don't need a physical property which is attached to a mortgage, as we said, and it really becomes just a bond, a debt bondage.
It's I just saw a comment that I'm bullish on Nancy in the comments here.
Yeah, I like what she's got to say there.
Yeah.
It's a great story. Like lots of people. But that's not to minimize what you've been through, Nancy, because it's a very personal journey it's an awakening, right? It's an awakening to say, what am I doing with my life? I want to do something more meaningful than be a consumer of junk.
Yeah.
And when you have that wake up call, it's like, wow, I am more, right? You are so much more than a consumer of junk. You're a human being.
If there might be people on the pod after that listen to this, I'll read the comment from Nancy here. It says, just started learning about Bitcoin this time last year. It made me realize how much useless junk I bought. It has made me a more discriminant buyer. And now I just want to stack sats. So, I mean, like and I hear this from a lot of Bitcoiners, is they start thinking more carefully about what they're buying. And the Keynesians would come in the room and say, well, that's going to crash the economy. Nobody's going to want to buy stuff. And I don't agree with that assertion, because you still buy things, but you're much more conscious about the quality of things that you want to buy and if you really need it. So will it crash the economy for useless plastic junk? Absolutely. But will it crash the economy for quality, furniture, a quality home, quality things that you're going to keep around for years and years that you can actually continue to use, that won't fall apart? No, that economy will thrive, because people will actually buy things that they don't plan to ever get rid of, that they will fix when they break. The culture of fixing things is gone. If something breaks, you toss it in the garbage. You buy a new one on Amazon and it gets there the next day, because everything is disposable, and you're kind of brought up in that culture of disposable crap. You'll buy it, you'll replace it, and nobody wants to keep or fix anything.
Well, I would add, I think that becomes a spiritual thing, right? When everything is disposable, you end up feeling the same way about your own soul, your own life, your own time on earth. You just say like, everything around me is junk, everything is garbage. I guess we live in a world where everything is garbage, including human beings. And it's not the case. Like when you build beautiful things, you see these beautiful things were built by human beings who are beautiful creatures who can create beautiful things that last, not things that corrupt and fall apart. And so it changes the culture. And this is why so many Bitcoiners talk about this being another renaissance, because we are looking at people building good things. I don't mean to do it as another plug for my book, but I was motivated to make a book on the finest paper that they sold, on the hardest copy, with the best images I could put into it, because I wanted something to last, because it corresponds with the values of what Bitcoin is. Like, how long does a Bitcoin last? Forever, right? It doesn't corrode. And how pure is a Bitcoin? Like, gold advocates are like, this is 99.9. Every Bitcoin is 100% pure Bitcoin. There's no Litecoin in it. There's no Ethereum in it. It's just pure Bitcoin. And so it's like, it takes all of these things to extremes of virtue, extremes of it lasts how long? Forever. It's pure. How pure? Completely 100% pure. And this whole built to last mentality, and do it right the first, like Satoshi didn't build it so that you throw it away and come up with version 2. Version 1 is good to last forever.
Yeah.
Right. Built to last. Literally, the blockchain, time chain, whatever you want to call it, it's a data structure that can go on forever. It's got enough address space for trillions of human beings to use it. The SHA-256 cumulative proof of work, like how much work can it consume in cumulative proof of work without us even needing to soft fork in another 256 bytes until it consumes, the entire Milky Way galaxy, all the stars there. Like, this was built to last forever. And so it really is a projection of the possibilities. And how can you then help but do what, as Nancy was saying, which is want to not consume junk and consume great stuff, and save for the future and build for the future.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I think that's one of the most important aspects of Bitcoin is how it seeps into the culture. And I've heard so many times from my Meet the Plebs guests that their low time preference is how people describe it. It's like their entire perspective on what they consume, how they consume, and I think that has to do with, like you said, Tomer, seeing representations of things that humans create lasting for long times and making them beautiful, right? And like you said, it really shows people that humans are not just creatures that are going to be here for a finite time, and your memory doesn't necessarily have to be for a finite time, right? And so the impact that we seek to have on the world today is extended by the projects that we see around us that have an extended impact on the world. So I definitely agree with you. And I think that's one of the most important aspects, really, of what Bitcoin is doing on a cultural and philosophical level.
Hey, I see your friend David is in the audience. Continuing the troll. David, I have an article coming out very soon. You have asked, where is the Bitcoin? The article is called, Where is My Bitcoin? And it's going to answer your question. You'll be able to see it. And it's a fun article, all memes. So it's not too serious like all this philosophical bombs I'm dropping here. It's just a really fun article about where the Bitcoin actually are.
Awesome. I love that. I mean, some of the Bitcoin, I suppose, in a sense, are on my node behind me.
All of them, every one of them. They're all there on that node, and they're all here on this node on this laptop, and they're all here. There's a node in my basement. They're all there. So they're everywhere, David. You can't get away from them.
Yeah,
the Bitcoin are everywhere. All the Bitcoin are everywhere.
Yeah, I love that. It's here, there, everywhere. There's not a place you can escape it.
But it's okay. They're not going to bite you, David.
Yeah, no, they'll give you some low time preference. We promise. I again, I'll echo what you guys are saying. I love the idea of what Bitcoin, oddly enough, will do to influence the mannerisms and culture of the world even over time. Because I've had these conversations with friends before, and they're skeptical that a money could actually influence behavior. But I take the absolute polar opposite opinion. While people may not realize it, our money, the mechanism through which we measure value, impacts every decision of our lives every day. If you have no consistent measure for value, what do you have, right? Your choices are perverted from the get-go. Everything downstream of your measure of value is perverted if that measuring stick is not consistent. So I think the impact over the long term is huge, because it doesn't just impact the individual, because it takes some it takes some fine tuning. Even with Bitcoin, you can obviously go out and have high time preference activities and tendencies, but that starts to affect local governance. It starts to affect global governance, and those decisions very much affect individuals as well. And so I think that as Bitcoin kind of seeps into every facet of the human experience will change.
Yeah, and it's a couple of things, right? I mean, you could look at it from like the economic sort of sense, which I'll use. I think Saifedean used this example in his Bitcoin Standard book about like a wine producer who basically had to take the same input or the same cost, et cetera, produce wine with ever increasing inflation, right? So he either had to make the ethical decision to like basically add water to the wine and cheapen it, or increase his prices. And what we see a lot of today is cutting the corners. And then there's sort of the philosophical side, which is what me, Tomer, and you, BTC, have sort of highlighted right now, which is watching human creation extend itself over time. We see the value of things in clear perspective versus constant devaluation. So I think there's two sides here, where we have like a physical ramification to sound money, and that plays out in low time preference, through that economic sense. And then we also have like a philosophical sort of representation of money, where you're getting your low time preference in that sense. So I think there's two sides here, and one of them might be more of a incentive style, but I think they both play into why we see people sort of extending their time preference as they get deeper in the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I look forward to seeing what kind of a world my kids and perhaps eventually my grandkids grow up in. I assume that if Bitcoin has impacted this many people this early into its existence, that the changes will be immeasurable by the time my daughter's well into adulthood, or my son is well into adulthood. That'll be an exciting time, and it'll be cool for them to, again, as we've been talking about on this panel, to look back in the future and say, God, there was a time where this wasn't the norm, where this wasn't the standard that we based our measurement of value on. And for them, it will just be, both my kids have never existed in a world where Bitcoin did not. And so for them, it's just, that's all it is, right? They just see it.
It's been around their whole life. It hasn't been used their whole life, but yeah, it's like the internet for people who, like, I'm older than the internet, or than when the internet was popular. I am older than the internet too, which is kind of tough. But it's hard to remember a time before you had all the world's information at your fingertips, and you can video conference with everybody in the world at a moment's notice, wherever they were. It's like when we were kids, we went out, and our parents didn't know where we were. We didn't have a cell phone to track our GPS locate. Cell phones didn't even exist, and we just didn't communicate and we didn't know stuff. We didn't have Google. We weren't going to go to the library and try to research stuff, or some kids' families had an encyclopedia set in their home. It's just the whole world has changed, and you can't imagine what life would be like without the internet. We did live without it, but we've lived in this kind of really sick society in the last, just accelerating since the 1980s, and the fix is here, right? We can finally repair all that leaking human quality. Like, we're richer than we've ever been before, but we all feel poor and we're all unhappy because eating junk food, living a junk life, watching junk art is not satisfying to the human condition.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of art, your roommate in Miami has become one of them, and also
Brecky. I wish I had one of Brecky's works here too.
He became a stonemason.
Yes, it's beautiful, the work that he did. I tried to buy his last piece, but I got outbid after the 21 million satoshis, and I was out.
Yeah,
so he's out there.
That's kudos to him. Like that piece that he just put of the eye. Look, I think it's going to be there, isn't it? It's going to be at the bazaar.
He's bringing the eye. He's bringing the eye. I know that he's bringing the eye, the Bitcoin eye. I also wanted, then, if we're plugging art, this is for free. I made a movie along with a director, Matt Hornick, called Bitcoin is Generational Wealth. So if there's anybody who hasn't seen it, who's watching, or if you have seen it, watch it again. It is art. People think it's a documentary. Maybe the first half is arguably a documentary, but the back half is a projection of what life will be like under a Bitcoin standard over the next 100 years.
It was, it's an incredible, I've got to say, it's, I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I thought it was fantastic. Highly recommend that people check that out. Is that the one? It's on Swan Signal.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, if you Google Bitcoin is Generational Wealth YouTube, you'll definitely find it, and it is on the Swan Signal channel. It's got There's a few other versions where it's been translated into other languages, and there's subtitles in various languages on this one. But if you do watch it, try to watch it full screen, lights out, volume up, because it's 4K definition and it's high production quality. It's not three guys talking on a live video feed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is meant to be a piece of art. And do you like a work of art?
It's definitely, well, there you go. There's that low time preference, right? You gotta make quality over quantity, right? Awesome. Well, gentlemen, I think I'm gonna start rounding this up. I very much appreciate both of you making it out, and also shout out to Adam, who was able to make it for the beginning of the show. It was a blast. So guys, I'm gonna do any final thoughts from each of you, and also let people know where they can find you. So I guess I'll go to Casey first. Casey, any final thoughts, and where can people find you?
My final thoughts are that I'm super excited for Bitcoin 2022. But beyond that, I'm just bullish on life with Bitcoin right now. I think the space we're hitting a point where it's mainstream in terms of conversation. It's mainstream in terms of implementation in real life. I mean, pretty soon we're going to see like MasterCard start implementing Bitcoins where you can just go straight through that. So we're going to see some crazy things, I think. So I'm bullish on so many things that I couldn't even think of the single thing to focus on today. But you can reach me at Twitter at BtcCasey. You can also find me on bitcoinmagazine.com/author/Casey. But yeah, Twitter's my main spot. You can also reach me on Telegram. But I mean, I'd love to meet everyone in Miami if y'all want to connect there. So definitely hit me up if you want to do that. But yeah, I'll pass it back to you, BTC Sessions.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I'm glad you made it, and I will definitely I'll hunt you down in Miami and make sure we link up for sure. Tomer, final thoughts, and where can people find you?
Okay. Final thoughts. Buy Bitcoin, take personal custody, get it off of the exchange, store it cold storage, but keep some, run a full node, keep some on the full node, run a Lightning learn how to use Bitcoin and learn about it, because it's changing the world, and be a part of that change, or don't. It's a free world. Bitcoin doesn't force anyone to do anything. So that's my counsel. But you're free not to use Bitcoin if you don't want, Dave. Hopefully you give it a shot and see how it actually works. You can find me at Tomer Strolight on Twitter. I'm constantly tweeting, and my DMs are open. So if you have any questions about anything else, I have articles on Swan. I have articles on Bitcoin Magazine. I had a Bitcoin opinion piece recently, which was called "The Zen of Knowing That Your Opinion on Bitcoin Doesn't Matter," or something like that. So it was an opinion piece saying how good it is to know that your opinion doesn't count. And that was my opinion. And Bitcoin Magazine put a disclaimer at the bottom saying, Tomer's, this is an opinion piece and does not necessarily reflect the opinion of.
Don't worry, we do that for everyone.
Oh, I know, but it was like I was capturing the maximum irony that I could carry by writing an opinion piece around that. And then I have my own Medium where you can find almost all of my articles, and I've got a couple of, I've got that movie, and I've got something on Citadel 21. But if you just Google my name in any of these publications, there's a piece I recently wrote for the Bitcoin Times. So I'm just constantly trying to put out as much as I can for Bitcoiners to share the excitement that I have for it and the ideas that I've come across.
Awesome. Well, I love it, man. Again, thank you both for being here. You're both welcome back anytime. And yeah, anybody that's watching, both their Twitter handles are linked in the show notes down below. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
It's been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for having us again.
Yep.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
All right, later, guys. Everybody that is still watching, of course, thank you so much for being here. Friday's always my favorite part of the week. I love just being able to chill out with Bitcoiners and chat about what has us excited. Of course, I was saying that I will be down in Miami along with everybody that was on the show today. So if you are in or would like to be in the vicinity, of course, give me a shout. Let me know if you're going to be down there. But if you'd like to be, but you are not as of yet, and you're in Canada and you're using Shakepay, or if you're not and you want to sign up and really quick try to enter the contest, I'm giving away literally 2 flights, for you, and rather I should say one person will win, but you get to bring a friend, and it's flights, accommodation, and tickets. Tickets are going for like $1,000 US right now to this thing. So highly recommend you get on this. How do you do it? Well, again, shout out to Shakepay. They're the ones sponsoring this and making this even possible. But basically, you got to be a Shakepay user. You got to tweet at me at BTC Sessions and at Shakepay. You got to tell me why you want to go. Points for creativity, by the way. You got to include your Shake tag and a couple hashtags, hashtag ShakePaid and ShakePaid Miami. And then tag the friend, the Shakepay user that you would like to bring with you, and just have that person reply with their Shake tag as well for good measure. But yeah, today's the last day that you can enter. So be sure to enter, and I'll be announcing pretty quick here in the next day or two, I believe, who the winner was there. Also, let's say you're not Canadian, but let's say you're in the Miami area, and perhaps you want to get down to the conference, but you can't quite afford it. Give me a shout. I will see what I can do. I don't know what I've got kicking around. This is not a for sure thing, but at least if I'm aware, I can try and help. Of course, if you do want to just grab a ticket, you can go to b.tc/conference, and you can get 10% off. Just use the code BTC Sessions, and yeah, that'll get you 10% off. If you pay in Bitcoin, it's significantly less expensive, by the way. But prices do go up in another week just prior to the conference. So if you're grabbing some, if you've been on the fence and you're not sure, you might do it like the day before, get in before that last price hike would be ideal. But I do hope to see a lot of you guys there. Let me know if you're going to be down. I will try and link up with anybody. And also, if you want to be on Why Are We Bullish for the episode of Why Are You Bullish, then you can do that. I will be tweeting out when that's happening. Just keep an eye on Twitter and I will let you know where and when that will be. Yeah, but I guess I will wrap that up here. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. If you're on the pod, like, subscribe, share, all those things help. You can hit up the sponsors that I mentioned down below: Shakepay, LEDN, Bitrefill, Keystone, BillFodl, all down below. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin tip at my Strike page. You go there, strike.me/BTC sessions, type in any amount you want, hit the tip button. You'll be greeted with a Lightning invoice, or if you tap the arrow to the right, a regular Bitcoin QR code. With that, I'm out. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys next time for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.